Hi friends, my name is Larry Pfeiffer and I'm a trustee with the Illinois Teachers Retirement System, and I understand you're in sunny Florida today and I'm not. I'm here in Illinois, and during the taping today it is a high of 11 degrees, and again, I'm glad you're warm and you're down with my friends Jim and John in Florida. My friend Nathan's got a series of questions that he thinks that you might be interested in, so we'll do our best.
Why did you want to become a trustee on the TRS Board?
Well, actually, I wanted to be a trustee probably long before I retired. I started studying the TRS system and people that were interested in it, and I found out there was a group called the Illinois Retired Teachers Association that has that as their primary purpose, is protecting pensions, and I started studying the system. I'm kind of unique because I've got an individual in my life, a young man, my son, that has a whole lot of abilities and a couple disabilities. And I wanted to make sure that we have a safe and secure pension system for him as well as my wife and I. See, I don't have an IRA or a small business or a farm that I can pass down to other folks in my family. The pension's it. And I figure if I can't look after the pension, be a good fiduciary, then I can't really expect someone else to do it. So, long answer to a simple question, but I've enjoyed my tenure, my 3 years as a trustee on the board.
How is the TRS Board organized?
You know what, that's a great question, and it looks like it's going to be changed a little bit. Just this year, the General Assembly enacted some legislation that's going to appoint a new chairman to the board, as well as another elected official from the active teachers. Currently we have 6 that are appointed from the board, now with the chairman being named, and then we have 4 that are active teachers, and then 2 that are annuitants, and that's what I am. I'm an annuitant trustee that looks after and represents the retirees and annuitants, but yet we have to look at all the members of the TRS as well too.
Do TRS Board trustees get paid?
Nope, we don't.
Why did the TRS Board take a policy position last fall which expressed concern for proposed reductions in state funding for TRS?
There was a lot of discussion at the board level, basically that there was conversations as a budget was being put together that there might want to be some reductions or changes or alterations to the funding level, and that gave us a lot of concern. As you know, our funding level is about 40%, so we have to be pretty conservative, and we have to be very, very dependent on those incomes, especially from the state of Illinois. I guess I would ask the members, and Jim, I want you to use your fingers down there. Do this, 3 and 1. 3 and 1. For every $3 we need today, because we needed $1 yesterday. Or another way, let's go 1 and 3. If we need $1 today and we don't receive it, it'll be $3 tomorrow.
Why is the TRS currently 40% funded? Should this concern me?
40% funded. Remember just a second ago we did the 1 and the 3? That's pretty much it. I'm going to need my help from my buddy Jim, and I think we can explain that. Hey Jim, I need you to give me $3, okay? I'm going to walk over and get it, and I'll be right back, but I think we can make this point. So bear with me, okay? I'll be right back. Hi everybody, thanks for waiting. I found Jim, and I got a little bit of bad news for you. We needed $3, remember? And I found Jim, and that's all I could get from him was $1. Remember the 3 and 1 scenario? But I think we can make this work. And you ask why we're at 40%. Well, we needed 3, remember? And we got 1. Now let's take this and say, okay, this year you're going to invest that $1, and we got some bad news. The market went down a bunch. It went down by half. So our $1 is down to 50 cents. But remember, we needed 3, and now we got 50 cents, and we're making payments every month. But I got some good news. The market went back by 50% next year. So what are we up to? Jim, do me a favor. Look around the room and see what kind of numbers they come up with. Nope, it's not $1. We're back to 75 cents. So Jim, next time I see you, I'll give you your 75 cents back to you. Plus, you still owe me $3 from last year and $3 from this year, but you got your 75 cents back. What's your next question, Nathan?
How should an annuitant best explain to their elected officials the importance of state funding for TRS?
State funding is critical. Remember that we are funded on a ramp. This has been legislated and approved that we are on a pretty steep ramp to pay off. It's flat for the first few years, but then it climbs and climbs. And right now there's a lot of dollars that go into the pension system because we're on that ramp. And I would encourage you to remind your legislators that if you've ever been on a very steep ramp, it's really, really difficult to stop. Ugly things will happen. You'll start sliding backwards. Either change the ramp or fund the ramp.
How does the TRS board make investing decisions?
You know what? We've got some really, really good folks on staff at TRS that come to us with their recommendations, as well as consultants in the industry. We have to make our investments to make money, not lose money, and be able to function safely and securely in all market environments. Remember our example a minute ago when we talked about going from $1 down to 50 cents? That's a tough year, but at the same time, we've got some expenses to cover, mainly your pension checks. Now, Jim, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Look around the room, and by a show of hands, how many people there think they could skip a monthly pension payment or two if we have a down year? Go ahead, Jim. Count the hands. Okay, thanks. Report back to me here when you get back.
How and where are TRS funds invested?
You know what, we call them buckets, or that's what the folks call them. We put them in different buckets so that our funds will do two things. One, make more dollars, but also be available so we can meet our obligations. And our obligations are those monthly paychecks. Our payroll is about $500 million every single month. Those dollars go exactly to you and me for our past contributions. We have them in a lot of different sources. We have stocks and we have fixed assets. We even have something called private equity, where we can do things as a board institutionally that you and I can't do as individual investors. We also have dollars put away and put into assets so that whenever the market starts to go in the downward direction, we can actually make money during those times.
Why not have TRS invest all funds into the stock market?
The stock market is on an 11-year bull run. It's never been greater than what it is this last decade. The question is, how do we stand those really, really steep declines, especially being at a 40% funding level? There'll come a point where we have to say, we've got to meet our current obligations as well as our future obligations. It's just way too risky for the folks that are on the board or what we've been advised from our investing staff.
Does TRS have enough money to make pension payments for everyone in this room?
Yes, they do. And that's the duty of the board as well as TRS and the General Assembly to ensure that we have a safe and stable pension system that not only for the folks in sunny Florida to make those monthly payments, but for the folks that are just starting out their careers. We have to have a system that will have those funds available when those folks retire.
Can you explain the legislative pension funding ramp?
Well, we talked about it just a bit earlier. That's a ramp. That's what's sometimes called Illinois math. It's what the General Assembly has established and said we will fund this ramp. We've got friends that are actuarials and their ramp is kind of a little bit different. It's shaped different. I'm sorry for the low tech, but I think you get it. The actuarials use math and they say, you know, given this many people and this many actives and these folks are going to live this long, your ramp should look a little bit more like this. But I wished I was dislocated. You'd see that the Illinois pension ramp is kind of like that.
How is the rate of return for TRS? How does that compare to its peers?
Okay, that's a question I always ask at the board level, given the peers in our system, and a few numbers here for you. Illinois is the 37th largest public pension system in the country. Our funds are just a shade south of $53 billion. Over time, and that's what we look at as our investing record, we're in the top quartile as far as our returns on investment, and in the bottom quartile as far as risk. We do it at a low risk but high returns, and that's a good place to be. We always look at current returns, and this last year we did not meet our benchmark, which was 7%. We came in at 5.1%. But over time, we've been well above our 7%. Actually, over my lifetime as a teacher, from the early 80s, we're well over 9% return on investment, which is very good.
What is a fiduciary?
That's what I am. That's a person that goes into the meetings. That's a person that sits on the board and says, you know what's good for the pension system? If it's good for the pension system, then it's going to be safe and secure, and it's going to impact all of our members equally and fairly, and there'll be funds available for their retirement and then their future retirement for those that are just starting out.
Can you speak to the topic of ESG investing?
Yeah, that's kind of fun. That's been fun to watch. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance issues. And as I do my research and visit with other pension systems around the country, and actually some around the world, ESG is gaining a little bit of traction where some boards want to be conscious investors. They want to either invest in an industry or divest in an industry that they have a cause or a purpose for. We see a lot of that, or I see from my observations, a lot on each one of the coasts. The East Coast and the West Coast do those kind of initiatives much more for a cause. I'm trying to find out as much as I can to make sure that they're solid investments that will be good for everybody, including those in the causes, but yet not be persuaded. You pick about any topic, you'll find folks on both sides of the issue. We as a board have been fortunate that we're looking at the financial impact of the system, and hopefully that makes us good fiduciaries for doing such.
What have you most enjoyed as a trustee since joining the TRS Board?
You know what, as a classroom teacher and later as an administrator, my background wasn't in finance, but just surrounding myself with the very, very intelligent, bright people that bring to us some wonderful proposals and that's been able to allow our system to have some very good returns on those investments. There's a wide variety of different areas we're invested in, and I always find it interesting learning more and more about those.
What is the difference between individual investing and institutional investing?
I alluded to it a little bit earlier. When you have $53 billion to invest, you draw quite a crowd. You'll find things in companies and individuals that will put together proposals that's not available to other individual investors like you or I. We can't go out and say, I've got 150, well, maybe you can, I don't know. Jim, look around the room. I've got $150 million that I would like to just get a toehold with a company, and we'll get started with that. See, it's just a completely different league.
Explain why the TRS Board seeks women and minority firms and managers.
In Illinois, there was legislation that's been passed and then reviewed annually that says basically, you know what, in the state of Illinois, we have a look and a feel. We have women and minority businesses, and a system should reflect that. You should have a percentage that reflects the state. And TRS actually has a very good track record in women and minority-owned investments. I find it interesting because many times they perform better than the traditional systems. Sometimes it's difficult tracking because we get a lot of those young or emerging managers that are very successful, and they get bought out by other folks, bigger companies. So then it's kind of hard to track them at that point. But I find it interesting to be a part of the conversation about how well these startups, I find it exciting, especially those that do come from Illinois or from that beginning levels, especially in the women and minority owned field.
How do you keep current with market conditions and outlooks?
You know what, that was really interesting when I first started as a trustee. I thought, how am I going to keep current with that? And I got some good advice from some former trustees, but I'll just go down my list of things I do on about a daily basis. I subscribe and read the Wall Street Journal. There's a document called Pension Investing. I review about a dozen different news publications specifically for pensions. And then TRS provides us an update almost daily of pension-related conversations in the market that are out there. So I review all those. I also read a couple blogs that are Illinois-specific, and they deal with some of the pension conversations. I have enjoyed very much working with IRTA. I enjoy working at the state level, at their conferences and conventions, at the district meetings, but I really do enjoy going to the locals, having lunch with them, having conversations, hearing the concerns that you might have and the questions. I would like to do that even more so. So please contact IRTA if you want to get me to Florida, or when you get back to Illinois, we can do it in a small group setting, or just field me a question. I do want to serve the annuitants the best that I can. No, I do appreciate your interest. I'm glad that you're in warm climates and enjoying your retirement. I know that I'm enjoying my retirement as well, and it's been an honor to serve on the teacher retirement system and to be a member of IRTA.
The IRTA, join today. Protect your pension and health benefits the easy way. Visit IRTA online.